Yeah, damn you fast.
Well, I was just here playing solitaire on my iPad.
Oh yeah.
Reuven, hi.
Hey Ruben, shalom. Solitaire. I haven't played that in a long time.
Well, I do it when I have nothing else to do, and uh, Reuven slept for 13 hours. Unbelievable.
I don't blame him. He was probably up at 36.
Well, that's true.
29.
29. Um, so how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, good, good. Now I think I was listening to last night's uh, or
Hangout.
yesterday's hangout, and you were going to see a movie with your wife. How did that go?
It was a good. It was good. X-Men was yeah. We went to see X-Men. Very good.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Yeah. Over here on we're kind of trying to I guess making a habit of it. They offer $5 movies on Tuesdays,
Oh, okay.
which is great.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned something about sneaking into other movies, and
Yeah, I didn't do it.
so is Adam still in the hangout from yesterday or this afternoon? I don't know. I wasn't here, so
Yeah, I think after I left, yeah, they kept on going. I think I fell asleep while I was in the room. I
well.
woke up 7 o'clock in the morning. The hangout room's open, and I'm the only one in it. I'm like, damn. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
good thing I didn't have the camera on. Yeah.
No. Yeah, my work schedule through the week kind of messes things up, so I just do what I can and try to make an effort to be there on the weekends. So,
Hmm.
which excuse me, uh, what I should do is I should mute when I cough.
Got a cold?
No, uh, just a family thing. You get phlegm in your throat, and you just have to clear it once in a while.
Mhm.
I remember staying up at my grandmother's, and very early, like way too early in the morning, she would be up and making as much noise as she could down in the kitchen. Um, and you could always hear her clear her throat. And most of the kids, not all of them, but most of them have that kind of signature throat clearing thing going on, including my father and me. So
It's genetic.
that's genetic. Yeah. So I've been listening to some interesting conversations.
Yeah.
I download them and listen to them while I'm driving, uh, and I because I'm probably not great in kind of engaging in debate back and forth with people. I like to listen
Mhm.
and then kind of figure out from listening kind of where it seems their logic falls apart or where there's a problem in terms of being consistent with what, especially if they're Christians, if their points kind of measure up to the fundamentalism that I was familiar with. So, and I found and young, well, he's 20, I think he's 26 years old. I'm trying to remember his name. Uh, I had a brief conversation with him about predestination, and kind of his argument was about, why did God regret making man when we get to the flood story where he has this regret, and he kind of sees that as an indication that God did not know ahead of time what was going to happen, or that well, some people don't distinguish between the two words repented and regretted, Reuven. But so young.
Well, doesn't repent mean change of mind, and wouldn't it come the same kind of conclusion?
Well, tshuva means to return, which is where you get the word repent. So it really means to return.
Okay.
And as opposed to regret. So either way, it calls into like he. So I asked him. You were talking to him yesterday afternoon near the end of the conversation, or near the end of your time in the room.
James? You talking about James?
Could be James.
He's a non-Trinitarian?
Yes.
Okay.
And so anyway, now I have to read Reuven. Just the two of us. Reuven, can't we just have a conversation? He repented and not regretted. He repents of four things: the existence of the flood generation, the creation of Ishmael, the existence of Amalek, and the existence of Sodom and Gomorrah. He repented, allowing them to exist. And did he also not repent for having made Saul king? No. Oh, well, that's interesting. James actually brought that up as a point. Anyway, okay. So you guys were discussing the whole issue. I might as well just get to the point. You guys were you guys were discussing the virgin birth in the Isaiah passage.
Isaiah 9, yeah.
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 And he, I just think that he's probably. I could understand how one could read the Bible themselves and I guess come to some of the conclusions that he did, but it would ignore, I think, kind of the Christian Orthodox position of original sin. Hi, John.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey,
How
John.
are you doing today?
Oh, not too much. We hadn't gotten around to talking about you just yet, so you just be patient. We'll get there. I joke.
Quickly, John, what happened to you earlier? You came in the room and then you were gone.
Yeah, I was gonna hang out for a little bit, and me and Dave's Good have been in a little discussion.
You and who? I'm sorry?
Dave's Good. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I think I see him on conversations regarding atheism and theism.
Okay.
Well, either way,
You raise your mic a little or bring it closer to you because you're coming in a little low.
all right. Let me see what else I can do here. All right, does that help it? No. Got an idea?
And I assume those are your kids, John.
Which
in
John?
your avatar?
Does that help any?
No, still a little low on my end anyway.
Okay.
Okay, I'll refer to you as Bro Joe. And the other one will be John. So,
No, he could be Joe O.
oh, yeah.
Uh, all right. Anyway, back to yeah, what were we saying? Isaiah?
Well, yeah, just that I think that he doesn't understand um, that the whole point of the reason why it was necessary for uh, God to uh, create Jesus from himself was because of original sin. So if you don't believe in original sin, then all children are born without sin, and the only sins that they're held accountable for are the ones they commit. That's what he believes.
Mm.
By that argument, God was not necessary because Jesus, born of Joseph and Mary, would have been without sin. And it just simply would have been him being able to remain that way.
Right.
I'm a moderator on political forum website. We've switched from PHBB to Fee Bulletin, so we need to edit every post to reflect. What?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Too much sleep,
I tried to
maybe.
make a little adjustment. Does that help any?
Ah, yeah. I think that is. I think that is better.
Okay.
Sounds the same to me, but I'll deal with it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
All right.
there you
Oh yeah,
go.
I just tried to
That's
boost
good.
the mic a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's better than what it was before for me, and I've got earbuds on because otherwise, it's just nasty dealing with the cutting in and out.
Let me see. I can try going one more volume more. Let's see about that. How about that?
Now I'm getting noise.
Yeah, now you're getting noise.
Make what do you want, Rojo?
I want perfection. I demand perfection.
Okay. Let me try something different. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. We'll be here. Yeah,
Thou hast created an audio sin. Go do 10 Our Fathers.
well, anyway, because I knew you were right at the end of your ability to stay there,
Yeah.
but that's really the problem that I see with uh, like you just that's kind of it's it's something that you really can't work around. Like if you don't believe in original sin, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of Jesus of necessity being born of God.
Mm.
So, and also the Immaculate Conception. Both of those are absolutely necessary for this to work. So I think that he just doesn't really have. That he still doesn't have a strong uh, grounding in his doctrine.
Yeah. And he agrees that the virgin in Isaiah meant young girl.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how can that be a fulfillment of any prophecy if Mary's supposed to be a virgin, one who did not have sex?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back, Heavy Hauler.
Oh, I figured I'd pop in and go, y'all go to bed now. That won't work, will it?
No, especially now with Ruben. He just woke up after sleeping, 13 hours?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, wrong crowd.
Yeah, so I guess Ruben's in it for the long haul if he likes.
Yeah, I remember one night I was in oh, shoot, Raw. I was in, he had an 8-hour hangout. And I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and earn my merit badge. And I stayed in that for 8 hours.
My
Hi,
current
Rob.
record holds at 13 hours being in a hangout, nonstop.
Well, was you going from one hangout to another? They only
No,
go.
no, I opened up a hangout. It was open live for 4 hours. I stayed on additional 9 hours.
Oh, that okay, gotcha. Yeah, so the live would only be up to 8 hours, and then however long after,
Yeah, well, you could
I
set it. I
guess.
stopped it after 4 because I just figure if people are gonna listen, from YouTube, they're just not going to, I don't know, go past 4, 5.
Okay, and I think I interrupted the conversation.
It's
You,
okay.
you did knock it off.
Thou
Okay,
shalt.
I thought,
You have committed a sin also.
That's okay. I wouldn't want to meet you in Second Life.
I'm just a big teddy bear.
I'm just imagining that shirt on your outfit there, like coming to about 3/4 way up your belly.
Actually, it does. You can see, you can actually see it on my channel. It's the best.
Hey, hi, Lindsay. Hi, Rob.
Oh, this is Lindsay Lou. You guys tried to write a
Lindsay
song.
Lou.
I had to turn it
That's
down because
right.
I was afraid people around the car might hear it. Wow. It's,
Lindsay Lou.
well, it was
Oh,
nice. It was a nice attempt at making you feel welcome. Anyway, they never sang me any songs.
Yesterday they sang a song.
Yeah, yeah. I listened. I listened to that hangout and had to turn it down when they got to singing.
I was just going to throw this on the side if anyone interested. It's a little video I did of this character I have and some other ones.
Oh, oh, I got to check that out.
Yeah, I did several different versions, outfits, weird stuff.
oh, John, you're in the room. Good. I have a question for you.
All right.
Hey, John. Oh, and hey, Lindsay. I didn't say hey yes a while ago. I'm sorry.
Hey, what's happening?
I was in a hangout earlier, and I was trying to look up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can see his belly button.
I was in a hangout earlier, and I was trying to find the article. What had happened in New York? Apparently, there's a church that was meeting in a school, public school, on the weekends, and then I guess somebody, took them to court over it. They lost, and now they're going to appeal. So I was looking for the article, but upon trying to find the article, I came across another article which I thought was quite interesting. It was from 1982, and what it was that a quadriplegic was denied a wedding in the Catholic Church, and the reasoning why was that since he
Oh,
was
don't take off any clothes.
Prescott,
I'm sorry. It looked like he was going to take off some clothes.
Who?
who? You're what?
I'm watching the video that Heavy Holler posted.
Oh, well, I do have a nude version, but I didn't want to show that.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're talking about serious stuff, Brojo. Go ahead.
I have no control. Everybody's sinning today.
Yeah.
Go to your corner.
Yeah. It was a quadriplegic that was denied a wedding in a Catholic church because they couldn't consummate the wedding. They
Right,
couldn't consummate the marriage. They said.
right, because he was paralyzed from the chest down. So since he was unable to consummate the marriage, the priest or whoever in the Roman Catholic Church would not marry them.
Okay.
Are you aware of this?
No, I'm not aware. I'm not aware of the.
Oh, okay.
Let me
Yeah.
see if I can. Let me see if I can look up a little bit.
Of course, we had a few.
Prescott, it's not funny. Quadriplegic can't have sex. What are you laughing at?
Well, I mean, like I told John. I mean, you can get pretty inventive with stuff. There's no telling what they might
Well,
do.
there's a will, there's a way.
Thank you. And if they're getting married, it's obvious they love each other, so they're going to make it work out one way or another.
I haven't heard Prescott crack up so much. What is it? You still watching the video or something?
I just finished it.
What happened?
Oh my God!
Your cowboy outfit, your village people's biker outfit.
Well, I am gay, so it kind of fell into. I got to do an Indian. I got to do a big fat Indian sometime.
Oh dear.
Oh well.
It was very funny.
Thank you.
And I don't know whether you intended it to be funny, but certainly a lot of talent there. Good job.
I had fun. I have fun with that.
Oh, I imagine.
I'll watch that later.
Okay, sorry guys. I should have probably as well, but it was fun watching it nonetheless. Where did the hangout go?
Where did the subject matter go here?
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back.
No. Because everyone listening live, Prescott, thinks that you were laughing at the quadriplegic now,
He was laughing at my fat village people outfit.
Well, all I'll say is that you guys watch that video, you'd be laughing too.
Do I have to have the sound on, or can I watch it in a...
There's no sound.
There's no sound. You can watch them fly around and yeah. Anyway, I guess probably I should have muted. Maybe is what I should have done. Anyways,
I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
was about to suggest that the common courtesy was to probably mute your microphone while you're talking, so you didn't interrupt the format. But
There would be no problem for me.
What was that?
What the...
well,
Is that because of my screen share by chance?
Probably. You probably had a video on.
Okay. I don't have any video on. I'll give it another shot. I'll make sure not to have any videos on.
That looks like someone's targeting you for assassination.
Yeah. There's a face recognition thingy or something. Oh, it's gone now.
Oh, okay. It has to do with the screen share, I think. I'm just sharing the resource that I'm looking up about the concept of impotence versus or the inability to consummate the marriage. And so can you see that on my screen?
Most of it.
Okay. I'm looking up what one of the apologists from Catholic Answers has to share about it. Because I'm clueless as to what the canon is here.
Yeah, that's probably something that's not covered.
yeah, I used to listen to Catholic Answers quite a bit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I recently came across it and really been enjoying it.
Is Tim Staples still a regular on there?
Yes, he sure is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of why I was interested, because he was a Protestant who converted to Catholicism.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that he does on the show is do apologetics for Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
What is that? While doubt persists, it is to something declared null. That would be the marriage declared null. I was just trying to read what was up on the screen.
Oh, okay, right here. While the
Yeah.
doubt, okay, starting at right here, the marriage is not to be prevented, nor while the doubt persists, is to be declared null. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of it, and It takes me a while. I'm not very smart, and it takes me about
Join the
3
club.
times.
Yeah, the thing was they were saying since he was paralyzed that they could not consummate the marriage, and what we were saying was, you don't know how would they know? You don't know what these two can come up with, to do it, which would be a very personal thing, by the way.
Right.
But they denied the marriage because of that reason.
We're gonna tell the priest, "Come on, we can prove it to you. You want to see?"
Oh no, that would really be the worst thing.
And it's fornication.
Oh boy.
Honey, don't tell him about the video we have up on XTube. Okay, that was wrong.
Probably is a question for Reuben, but Reuben, in the Jewish religion, didn't you have to like kind of prove consummation somehow?
I think he's still fuming over the mistreatment of Dr. James White.
I don't know. I don't know which verse, but
Well, I don't know if it was so much prove it, but I mean, he's paraplegic and in a wheelchair. That would be like, they look and, the first thing they think is, he's not going to be able to, this ain't going to happen.
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of my understanding of it.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm starting to gain an understanding of this.
I'm more curious about, like, maybe they're in the type of relationship where one person got off solely by getting the other person off. You gotta remember that factor.
Okay, now you do come in a little choppy for me. I was wondering if you could please share that again.
I said, well, never mind, my mic sucks.
Oh, you're coming in clear.
Better that time.
I said, maybe in this marriage, that the other person who quite possibly couldn't sexually or be aroused. I don't even know how to word this right.
Yeah, I think I understand where you're coming from. Man.
We just want to
Okay,
hear you try
but
to explain.
I know people that get off if their partner gets off because, like, my friend Paige, her ex-boyfriend was trans, so he had no sexual organs because he was going through transition, but he still felt sexually satisfied fingering her.
I think the big thing here was let's see, it's about you're getting married and the consummation or whatever. You're supposed to have children, and would they be able to have children or not? I think that was the thing.
Oh, well,
Possibly. I mean, it wasn't as far as like actual sex or anything, but it was the ability to have children.
what about adoption?
Well, it's in the Catholic Church that that I don't know.
Yeah, my understanding is that with the Catholic Church, sex, the main purpose for sex is to procreate,
Yeah.
not for pleasure. So if you can't procreate, what's the purpose of having to get married, I guess?
Yes. Yeah. After reading that, I think what it's sharing is, I think the reason why they deny it is just in alignment with the same, is what Brother John's saying. The purpose of marriage is to procreate. We like people, and so the more people we can add to the world party time, the more joy there is, the more potential for joy. And so if we stop doing that, then we limit the joy we can achieve. And so that is the sole purpose. That is not the sole, but that is the main purpose of marriage. Is marriage within a husband and wife is to procreate.
But see, another thing though, and I don't know what the Catholic Church stance on this is, they could still, pardon my language, it may not come across right. They could still harvest sperm for artificial insemination.
That is so gross.
I know. That's why I said pardon what I'm saying. You know, but I mean, you know, it's.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
All
will go put my dunce hat on and sit in the corner.
I don't know all the rules on that.
Well, I was just looking at possible alternatives.
Yeah.
You are our Catholic expert in the room, so you're going to get nailed with a lot of questions.
Oh, please do not use me as your evaluation for Tom. Oh boy. If not, let's just close the book. Forget it.
You get no Catholics out here, so you know you got to be the token Catholic.
Yeah, I would think artificial insemination are forbidden. Thank you very much, Ruben. It is forbidden from because it's about natural. What can we do naturally is kind of the concept.
So those people who are destined to be infertile because God made them infertile, they can't adopt, they can't get married, they're destined for the monastery.
They can get married. They can marry the church as Jesus did, as Jesus does. That's the priesthood.
Not quite the same thing.
Well, in some places it is.
So that's the so
Yeah, Prescott, where?
the idea is the idea. I think for me the concept I see is that there's so many of us need help in dealing with loneliness, in dealing with sacrificing everything that we have and losing everything. I know that there's been times as to which I've needed help in seeing a light when I feel like I'm losing a lot of stuff, a lot of valuable things, such as family. And it's very nice to have the inspiration of a person that has lost everything because of, granted, it is because of a choice to follow Christ, but some of them feel called and they didn't necessarily want to do it. And so they're carrying the sacrifice. They're inspirational because they're showing how to carry the loss of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I have family members that are like nuns, so I've heard the joke. Roman Catholic family, Roman Catholic on one side.
Okay. So I mean, it's not that, it's kind of like with marriage between man and wife, how much of a sacrifice there is to fully give oneself to another, and to not go out and, how much, there's a time when I really wanted to be out sharing the word more, but I had to realize, hey, I made a commitment to this person and I can't just let that go. And so it really humbled me. Really nice, tough to go through, but really nice reward at the end. How much more empowering it is to be so little in this world.
I thought I wanted to be a priest once, but then puberty happened.
Yeah, I think I went through the same thing, right?
Rob, you're awfully quiet. This is very unusual. Hey, Rob, how did your training go earlier?
Oh, sorry, I had the microphone off. I just didn't realise it.
Talking to yourself for the past few minutes, right?
Hey, I was having a good giggle out there with Preston, and you were robbed by sharing my mirth with Preston and standing shoulder to shoulder with him. So, mate, Preston, you're going to have to wear all the criticism for laughing at the invalid situation.
It's Prescott. It's Prescott, by the way.
Prescott, sorry.
Yeah,
That's all right.
Come see, come sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 wolves, 3 wolves, whatever.
Doesn't matter. You know who I'm talking to.
Yep.
Yeah, I just had a question about the chastity of priesthood. I seem to remember reading somewhere that it was a late addition. It wasn't sort of part of the early traditions. Am I right or wrong?
I guess for sure, Old Testament rabbis, priests, they were married. But now it is going to go
No,
on interpretation. But I see the interpretation of Jesus isn't married, and he is the high priest.
well, actually, that's sort of challenged a little with some of the recent. So they found that was it the Gospel of Mary or something, an ancient text, and it basically spoke about Jesus having a relationship with Mary, and originally that text was refuted as not valid ancient writing, but then in recent times it has been valid as an ancient text.
Yeah, sure. And although for me, the reason why as a Christian, I couldn't accept that answer for me personally was because if Jesus, who is the high priest, who is the one giving himself for all of mankind, if he went out and had a wife, knowing that he was going to be crucified in such a manner, that's a pretty awful setup for the wife there, and I didn't see that as a just thing to to his spouse, and so therefore I could easily side with the interpretation of Catholicism that Jesus didn't get married.
Yeah. Just for John's benefit, I best lay my cards on the table. Do you think, John?
If you want, go ahead. Keep it
Well,
short.
sure. John. So my position, mate, is this is the other John that's a Catholic. I come from a position based on my research that Jesus was an Essene Jew and not a Christian at all. So I'm sort of in what might be classically termed the Gnostic camp. I acknowledge him as a real person, but I just don't acknowledge the Christian story, or I probably should say that correctly, the Roman Christian story. So that's why you'll find us a little bit at odds.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah.
Rob, have you I just been recently introduced to Richard Carrier. Are you familiar with him and his work?
No.
I got to read his book because he's one of the few mythicists,
Yeah.
and apparently he has strong evidence that Jesus never did exist.
Well, can I meet him in a room and have an argument with him? I'd love.
Well, no. I doubt he'll come in one of these rooms, but I mean, there's plenty of videos of his lectures and stuff. So.
Well, maybe we can flush him out of his safety net, and I'd like to have a debate with him because I see again, John. This is where I think when you stay in the realm of knowing being that concept of sensorial experience, and if we could lay that down as the underpinning basis for our argument, I can't see how he could win. He can't have anything knowable to back his premise. Nothing.
I'm certainly not going to argue for him because I don't know his complete argument there.
Well, no, come on, mate. No, I'm joking.
I'm going to go ahead and run. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good hangout, man.
Or you can fly.
Take care, Heavy.
Actually, I want to get up and fall into bed. Night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, Heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to that course, John. This is the first day. It's an aged care course. So over in Australia here, it's probably because of the that particular workforce is difficult to fill. I don't know whether it's the same experience in America, but people working and servicing the elderly is low paid and not, or typically regarded as not very rewarding work. So what happens here is that the government fund the training courses, so it doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
Yeah, and at the end of it, you're obliged to give them back. I think it's 3 weeks of service, no pay, and then you have what's called a Certificate 3 in aged care and a Certificate 3 in community care for the aged, and then you're available to that industry as a worker. So that's the course I'm doing. Yeah. It was good. It was not too bad. The lady that was running the course was quite interesting. She spoke about, firstly, me being a bit of a dumbass about a few things, but I didn't understand, or I didn't know that with an elderly person, when they age and they start to get a little tottery, it's not good for them to be on carpeted surfaces. The recommended surface is a very smooth floor. So that was just an early pickup. And then the second thing was, which was more intriguing to me, she spoke about, because part of the deal in aged care is you've got to deal with, you know, the toileting of the elderly people. And one issue that she mentioned was really interesting. She spoke about the phenomenon, it's called UTI, I think, and it's an infection in the urinary tract, and it can send the person a bit loopy, and it's like it's the infection that's causing the behaviour, and you know, you can sort of assume that the person's going into dementia when it's actually just a physical ailment that's causing that period of aggression and all those sort of traits. So that really interested me somewhat. Anyone heard about that phenomenon at all?
No.
No.
It's just the fact that aggression was tied just to an infection in the urinary. And then I said to her, is that why we get this term shit on the liver? You know? And she said, well, yes, actually. So, oh, good.
You don't
So
know.
I thought,
I've heard of that one.
you haven't heard of that? Oh, that's a saying over here in Australia. So if someone's got a bad mood on, we say that, oh, that person's got shit on the liver.
Okay.
You know, if they're just throwing a bit of a tantrum.
We say you're pissed off, you know, or getting pissed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Same thing. But the inference of you know, shit on the liver is that you know, if your liver's off colour, it'll bring out bad behaviours in you. You know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what she was saying sort of tends to sort of sponsor that. So I thought, wow, that's interesting.
Mm.
See, apparently you can get a wrong diagnosis of a person and cast them as, you know, moving into dementia, but really it's a physical problem that if treated properly, well, then the person's fine. Or they, you know, I mean, they're still on the path to the end days, but So far, it's an interesting experience.
Okay.
Oh, that's the other thing too. She spoke about her because, you know, she's got a new group of students and she's got to orientate them to the fact that they're going to be dealing with death firsthand.
Mm.
And and this woman's a nurse, right, with about 20 years experience, and she was saying, and I didn't know this phenomenon, but apparently with the elderly, when you know, particularly arthritic elderly, they on passing, the limbs just go nice and loose again. And with all her experience, she related to, and she was very convinced about this too, and she related to a personal experience. She was convinced that in death there's peace. And she spoke, then she added on about her own mother who had cancer and how she was afraid of death up until the day prior, and the day prior to her passing. And on that day prior, she said, you know, I just don't feel a fear of death. But something interesting, you know, something that I haven't been able to rationally come to terms with, but she spoke about her mother saying that her parents, the mother's parents, were there and were there for her. So I don't know whether that was sort of like a visionary thing or whether it's a real thing, but for that mother, it gave her peace, and then she passed away the next day. And so I shared back about my dad's near-death peaceful experience. So we all had a moment in the room. So, a good session. Interesting. So that was my day, and they only ran half a day, so that's why I'm back early. It was a light day's effort. You're a talkative lot. What else is going on?
No, well, I'm just thinking about what you said because I have heard similar stories. Seems like there's a certain peace that comes upon someone moments before they die. There's a kind of letting go, you know?
Yeah. Well, see, Gnostic Jesus says something similar too. It's almost like a definitive statement that even if it takes you forever to, get that enlightenment event, what he says is, and this has a wider inference too. So for Jesus said, this is saying for, the person old in days won't hesitate to ask a little child 7 days old about the place of life, and that person will live. For many of the first will be last and will become a single one. So what I take that to mean is that, firstly, an old person, you actually quite often see this phenomenon, and that's where elderly people really enjoy the company of a young person, and really, those two frames of reference really are talking about the non-ego person. They're probably the purest person. The young child, 7 days, naturally won't have any ego concepts, just a purely experiential being. And then at the tail end of life, usually the older person, like I remember being out on a golf course one day, and this old guy, I was walking beside him, and he, I didn't know what he meant at the time, but he said, look at me, I've gone through life, I've got it all worked out, and now no bastard will listen to me. So the old wise head, because if you think about the saying, going back to the Jesus saying, he's saying the old wise person who can understand that the essence is in the young child natively, he will live, meaning that he's enlightenment, he's got it all. But if not, then it's almost like he's saying on the last day you're going to find out anyway. See? I think that's his meaning anyway. It's all good. G-O in brackets O-D. Shall I plug my book?
Any update on the you getting it published or what?
Yeah, this morning, one of the other things that had me tied up, I had a call from a professor that I've had through the whole book process. There's this professor I bumped into, he's just retired, so I spent a bit of time talking with him, we were catching up. And then the call came in the middle of that from the publisher, and it was about the next step in the process. And from what I can gather, I've sort of made a commitment to spend a bit of money on the publicity side of it, and so we signed off, and so I committed a bit of money to a publicity campaign. So that's the next step, and the book itself, the first printed copy, arrives here in about a week. So,
that must be exciting for you.
well, it'll be really good to see it because I like the cover. I'm really wrapped in the cover. I know that I'll get hammered on the on the literary side, but I don't really care because I'm happy with the content. So it'll be interesting to just look at it and probably, because I've read the bloody thing, it seems like 1,000 times, but it'll be interesting just to see it, you know, in its, I suppose, its final glory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. But see, there's a problem. So if anyone else is interested in writing, you know, there are a lot of hidden costs that you don't plan on. And one of those hidden costs is that the book, the cost of the damn thing, you know, as an e-book, you could pick it up for about $3.99, $3.99. But for a printed version, it would cost $90.99. That's a lot of damn money.
$90?
Yeah, $90.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to sell too many of those versions. I hope the ebook moves a bit, but
How could it? Wait a minute. How many pages are in this book?
it's about 500.
Hmm.
So
Hardcover?
yeah, I think it is. I'll tell you when it comes. I'm not really 100% sure.
Hmm.
I'm not big on detail. Yeah. So anyway, when it gets here, see, and there's a hidden cost, right? Because when you actually go to get your book, it's one thing to write a book, but the marketing's is bigger. You know, it's a significant effort and exercise, and one of the components of that is that you have to actually spend your own money to buy, you know, a clutch of books that you can then go to all of the bookstores and say, here, would you consider putting my book in your store? And, you know, in my case, if I was to buy what they're recommending, which is, they were saying something like 150 to 250, so let's round it up to $100. So that's 250 by 100. That's 25 grand I've got to fork out, you know. Yeah, so, whew, I don't know that I'll be doing that somehow.
Are you gonna be doing like book signing tours or anything like that?
Oh, well, I don't know. But, well, see, that's another part of the book signing tours. You're supposed to supply the bloody books. So you're the one that's got to fork out at the front end. Or, you know, you've got to make sure that the books are available, and that's at your cost. And then if they sell in the event, well, good, you get your money back sort of thing. But it's just things that you don't think of at the outset.
500 pages. Pretty thick book.
Yeah. It's kind of like me. It's a bit thick. I take a lot of educating, don't I, John?
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, it's interesting. So I would think the experiences, you know, makes me a little bit more wiser about the whole process. Because now, of course, I am thinking about that second book, but you know, I'm kind of hoping that I cause a lot of trouble and don't have to write it. You know, I'll just give people a short story, because it's a big job writing a book, much bigger job than I'd initially imagined.
Mm.
Yeah. But you know, I wouldn't put anyone off the experience, because it's a great way to really get a really deep education, I think. And it can, you know, if you're interested in the topic, you know, you can learn a lot, and it can be very useful.
So they're only
If you
going to
can
sell
write.
it. They're only going to sell it for $4 as an ebook.
Yeah, that's correct. $3.99. And I get for anyone that's interested in knowing what you get out of it, I get half of that.
Right.
The rest goes to the Illuminati.
Wouldn't it be better just to concentrate on the ebook side of it and maybe charge a little more, like, you know, $10?
No, I mean, I'm happy with $3.99. Well, half of that's $2, right? I'm happy with $2 per book, because from where I sit, and you know, people may not believe it or not, but I think what you're getting out of my book is guaranteed enlightenment, assuming that you can understand or interpret, which is just like the Gnostic Thomas. What it's saying, it says it very clearly at the outset. It says, these are the secret sayings of the living Jesus spoke, that the living Jesus spoke, and Didymus Thomas, Judas Thomas, recorded. And he said, whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. Well, you know, because I'm using that text and I actually decipher all of the 114 sayings, theoretically, and it'd be an interesting test, you know, I'd love for someone to actually take that challenge on, but theoretically, if someone was to read, because it took me a while to decipher everything and get it what I think's accurate, for someone to read through my interpretation and the sayings and to make that connection and then see if it in a real way enlightens them. And if that were the case, well then I could say as part of, and I'm going to say it anyway, let people prove me wrong, so I could market it on that premise. So that could be quite a few sales. And I mean, I only need to get, what, say, 1 million sales and I've got $2 million. That'll be handy.
Yeah, that'd be handy.
Yeah.
Oh, Lindsay
You know.
laughed. Why did Lindsay lose?
I don't know. Oh, Lindsay's a theist, isn't she?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll have that effect on people, so you know that.
She was Muslim and then is Christian now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'm really going hard after Islam too, if getting half a chance, because that's as crooked as the dog's hind leg, isn't it, Reuven? Paul is massive hypocrite.
Prescott's gonna be leading us too, and I'm feeling unusually tired for this. Now, this is usually early for me. I'm feeling unusually tired. I don't know why.
Well, why don't you call it quits and hey, Jess.
Hello.
Just call it quits, mate.
Yeah.
There's always tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. It's important that you actually rest and keep your body rested, and that's part of the story, I think.
Yeah.
The big things I got out of it were really simple.
I have the nice. I have the luxury of pretty much getting up anytime I want. So.
Are you self-employed or you know, you're live, of course, so you don't have to answer.
Yeah, self-employed.
Very good. Yeah. No, but the thing I learned about the whole process is pretty simple stuff. It's very, you know, to have a good life is really, you know, fill your life up with genuine experiences. Try and be authentically selfless. Meditate.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to be jumping out of a plane this year for the first time.
Well, what a waste.
That's going to be an experience.
Well, that's it. That's it. That's exactly right. However, make sure you double check everything. Because here's the thing.
Give me a minute, guys. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a minute. Right back.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, mate, there's no return. Sorry, Reuven, I haven't been looking at your ghost sleep. Layla Tov, what's that mean? Is that like good night? Oh, yeah, okay. I haven't been looking at your comments, Reuven, on my apologies, so...
yeah, it'd definitely be nice to get your mic, Reuven, because it'd be nice to hear your thoughts whenever we're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think he likes being the intelligent one in the room to keep us all on track and just putting in that spice at the right time. Trouble is, Reuben, we may be missing stuff, pearls of wisdom.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Mhm. Yeah,
Boys.
Blues Brothers.
uh, But so for John, you know, what I think, John, where the common ground is between atheism and theism, it's in the experience, right? So a theist would say the strength in my faith is how it, you know, there's like a feedback loop, and you would call that your evidence, right? But very hard for you to convince someone else about an experience. But you know, if you opened up and expressed your experiences, you'd find that atheists would should, well, they're humans as well. They should be able to relate to experience. It's when you get into the theology that the whole thing breaks down, and everyone gets all, you know, pissed off with each other. I'm just trying to catch up with Ruben's comments. What have you been up to, Jess?
A little reading.
Yeah, what you reading?
Some science, short stories.
Yeah. Anything catching your interest?
Let's see, Dial After Frankenstein. Let's see,
That's science fiction, though, right?
oh, that and other things. Time travel.
Ain't gonna happen, mate, as far as I can tell. Only goes in one direction.
No, we'll see.
I haven't seen anything that. The only thing that sort of seems to interfere with time, and it's not conclusive, is this Acacia record thingy. You know, that seems to. It's almost like it's a record of all time across time. And if it's true, if it's real, sorry, mate, I've got a phone call. I'll just go on silent for a second.
So, what was the what are y'all sharing about time travel?
Just one of the short stories. There's one, Slice Crosswise, only on Tuesday World. Basically, people sleep until they wake up on their designated day, and they do whatever they want on that day, and they go back to sleep for the next 6 days, and it's like a cycle.
Interesting. All right. If time travel were possible, when would you travel to, and what time would you travel to, and why?
I probably would do, let's say, like 13,000 years into the past, just to see if there's any Atlanteans.
Okay. All right. Time travel to not to the past, but to the future. All right. So for you, Ruben, if you could time travel, what time would you travel to, and why? Interesting. All right. Now, why? All right. So for the viewers that might be viewing, he shared
History books.
30,000 common era right before he dies. So he wants to read all the history books.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
That's different.
Not that it means anything.
All right. Anybody else? Prescott? Brother John?
I'm sorry, what's that?
If time travel were possible, either future or past, what time would you travel to and why?
Oh boy.
Okay, while John's thinking, I'm going to respond.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to respond because...
I only have one choice. Only one point of time I can go back.
Well, I mean, you could go to multiple, but right now we're sharing our favorite.
It just brings up a whole, because
Well,
if I go back too far, then I might not have the experiences that I really did like, though there were many experiences I didn't like. Um, so, yeah. But go ahead, Prescott. I have to think about this one.
well, I was actually thinking about the super hangout that you did the other day, and who was it? Was it Rob? Rob, were you there? Somebody said they wanted to go back. They wanted to go back, and they wanted to.
No,
I'm sorry.
Not me. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going back.
Yeah, it was somebody who wanted to go back, and they wanted to stop Jesus from being crucified to put an end to all the madness. Who was that? Anyway, it doesn't matter who it was, really. But I thought about that, and I thought, oh, I know who it was. It was Nadia. And I thought to myself rather quickly, it's kind of like, yeah, how would that work out? You go back, discover he wasn't really there, that Atwell was, and you're stuck in the middle of first century Palestine with no way to get back.
Yeah, and I want you
and so you say the only way to get out of here is I gotta make it to Rome. Maybe I have to make it to Greece first, sell myself as a prostitute, so I can make some money because I don't have any way of surviving here in first century Palestine. Like there's just nothing here for me.
Well,
Anyway.
what I'd be saying to you, mate, is head for Greece, because too well clear of Rome.
Yeah, that's right.
Rome, no way.
No, don't go near Rome. And get the hell out of Jerusalem, too,
Yeah.
while you're at it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How about maybe Egypt? At least, at least you don't have to worry about Jerusalem and Rome. I'd go to Egypt. East.
Actually, yeah, it's actually really interesting when you look at the history, and particularly if you look at it from my perspective, there are a number of very key points that if things had have been different, they would have led to significantly different outcomes to this day, in my opinion. So Nadia's observation is probably pretty, although abstract in one sense, it's pretty spot on. We seem to be, it's almost like we seem to hinge on some very key events, or at least the outcomes. That's my opinion, and if Babylon hadn't have been taken over by the Persians, what would the outcome be? Because that's, to me, the original sin. And then coming forward, if Antiochus IV had been able to beat the Pharisees back and hold his empire, how would things look? And then
Let's see, how you beat back the Persians? Just have a tank platoon. A platoon of tiger tanks.
I didn't get that, Jess. Sorry.
It's like have a platoon of tiger tanks. It's just a steamroll through the Persians.
Oh, I'd like to do that. Those Persians are a bloody nightmare for humanity, in my opinion.
You might as well have something else that's a nightmare. Some of the Germans paid.
So here's my take on, that whole, going back to try and make things better. Time that's gone from you, it's like it's gone, finished, kaput. But, and that's probably the reality. But here's the thing, wouldn't it be a better function rather than going back and wishing to have done something different? Wouldn't it be a better, more practical function to have learnt from whatever your mistakes were and going forward through time, not make the things that caused you heartache? Now, people probably struggle working out the solution, but to me it's just simple. Most of the things that cause any person heartache are either their own selfishness or someone else's. So if you were to be, that authentic, selfless person, then in theory, your life should become a joy no matter, from that point of, realization forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a good life. That's it.
It is easy to go forward.
Well, no, it's easier well, it's not easy, because if it was bloody...
I mean, easier than going backward.
Yeah, it's sort of like, like I'm still bemused by Nostradamus, but I sort of conclude that if you could tell me the future, I'd sort of kind of probably say to you, I don't want to know. I'd rather just experience the moments that come. Why do I want to know that I'm going to get hit by a bus, when I walk out my gate tomorrow? I don't know that serves any useful purpose.
I might want to go about, I don't know, 50 to 100 years in the future and just see what the technology would be like,
Yeah.
But then again, maybe there'd be no technology. It could be desolate from World War. Who knows?
Oh boy.
Well, here's what Nostradamus says. He puts an end date, I think, and I can't be definitive of that because I can't work out his bloody calendar, but he seems to be suggesting a major event at 2057. So now, where are we now? We're 2014. That's 43. So you only got 43 years left, John.
Reuben says Newton said the world will end in 2060.
In when? Sorry?
2060.
Well, that's only 3 years out. How did he know, though?
I don't know. He asked Reuben.
So what did Reuben say? Newton said 20. How did he know? Newton did all sorts of calculations based on Daniel. Ah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how it works, how you could bloody calculate time and predictions, but see, old Nostradamus apparently has, well, I don't know, but I read somewhere where he had, Roy's asked, sorry, I just read, I read Prescott's comment. I've met people who think Jesus returns. No, Jesus returns, Reuben. No, he's just a man.
We don't see anyone descending from a cloud.
No, ain't gonna happen. Don't hold your breath for that one.
I'd rather watch rain than anything false.
No, sorry?
I'd rather see the rain come down from a cloud.
Yeah.
It's useful.
Jesus starts his return by visiting the
Martha come. Oh boy.
You see, all of that stuff, if you have the premise of, say, Plato, and you're his wise philosopher king, the dying event just doesn't matter. It's just, it comes in its own good moment, and you can spend your time worrying about it at that point. But one day. Prescott? No, I think you're wrong.
Oh boy.
Rob, I think you almost knocked over your room divider there.
What's that?
Behind you, you almost knocked it over. Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh boy.
Plato prophesied Marcus Aurelius. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, sorry. Just to the rest of the group, if you haven't picked it up, Reuven just said Plato prophesied Marcus Aurelius. Now, Marcus Aurelius was the last of the five great. They had a period of what they called the five good emperors, if there could be such a thing. And Marcus Aurelius was the last, and his son was like another. Like there's a trio of child emperors: Nero, Caligula, and Marcus Aurelius' son, I think, unless I'm misquoting or got the wrong guy.
John.
Well, you know how to fix that, Prescott. You just go and get something to bloody eat. It's simple.
Obviously.
You prophesized it, though, so that means that you knew that you had to go and get the ingredients or something, because there was a destiny that needed fulfilling.
There's another story. It's called A Pail of Air.
What's that one?
It's basically Earth has been ripped away from the sun by a dead star, a dark star. And basically, all the atmosphere just turned to solid.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, in a different way. Like nitrogen falls in a different time than oxygen.
But either way, you still end up dead, right?
Well, there are survivors. I mean,
Oh, okay. How do you survive that phenomenon?
basically they get the snow. That's the oxygen snow. They use that because the gases are now solids, pretty much. They're frozen. So I only read the story like once.
Yeah,
They do survive.
bit of a stretch.
It
Hey,
is.
yeah. Oh, sorry, mate. I was just going to ask Reuven for some more info on Plato's prophecy. I'm curious about that. Because the only way I can rationalise prophecy as being valid is this concept called the Acacia record, which is that goes back to those five classical elements, where ether is the fifth one, and they make it for some reason I think the most important, and that's the one that's attached to sound. And we know in technology land that you can put information on a curve, and in fact in our human body the DNA strand, that's got an information sort of characteristic to it too. So I'm curious. Oh, here we go. He didn't specifically write Brushy. He just meant that if he did, I just meant if he did, Marcus Aurelius fits the bill. A bit like Nostradamus first. Did play that opposite brother that Roscoe.
Oh boy.
I'm still lost, Reuven. So you're saying he didn't specifically right? I just meant that if he had, Marcus Aurelius fits the bill. A bit like. So, but I'm still lost. Are you saying that there is something in Plato that predicts? Oh, he was a philosopher king. Okay, I understand that comment now. So what you're saying is that if Plato and his Republic was more, you could, yeah, okay, you're probably saying something deep and meaningful here. You're saying that, you could use Plato's words and apply them to any set of circumstances and make that connection. Yeah. And yeah, Aurelius read Plato, and he could backwardly say oh, look, Plato's predicted me. Yeah, and that would be potentially true, because he's supposed to be a, yeah. Good night, Prescott.
See you,
Right on.
Johnson.
Good night.
Yeah.
He mentions the Gladiator movie. That is
Lyndon Johnson.
because in Gladiator, Commodus,
He's the son of Marcus Aurelius, I think.
well, in the movie, they have Commodus here as his son. He kills Marcus Aurelius, becomes the emperor. But I'm looking at the list of emperor, and it was actually Lucius between Marcus and Commodus.
Yeah, Lucius, I think, was a partner with Marcus sort of for a period, and then Lucius disappears, and then Commodus takes over. But there's also, I think there's a character in the background in terms of the Commodus scenario, and it was this background figure that was actually, you know, running the place, or had a bit of an influence over it. At least that's my rough recollection, because I did skim through that part. But the thing I found interesting, me looking for patterns, was that Commodus was a nightmare for society, as was already co-emperor. With Aurelius towards the end of his reign.
Yeah, Lucius is co-emperor with Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, and as was the custom to prepare your son for the job. Yes, I knew that part, but I just don't know where the other dude fits in. That, but anyway, it'll be there for all to see. But the pattern that was interesting to me was that you had these three childlike emperors. You know, they were really young guys that actually held the power, and that was Nero. Nero was the first. Caligula second, and this Commodus third. Three of them. Now that Commodus is interesting in my story because he and his father were in power when they vacated the two seats in Rome and Alexandria simultaneously. So 166 AD, you had a vacation of the two papal seats. So they had a papal seat down in Alexandria, and they had one up at Rome. Both occupants of that seat, bang, gone. And then in 189, which was just purely under Commodus, same event, two papal seats, bang, vacated. And so that's why he sticks in my mind. Yeah, be right back, Reuben. Yeah, cool dude. Very interesting. So what time is it over there for you gentlemen?
It's 11:30 p.m. over here.
So you're not
10:31.
Hey? What are you, Jet? 10:31.
10:31 for me.
Okay, so you guys must be in the middle somewhere. Middle of America.
Texas for me.
Indiana for me.
Texas. Now that's an interesting place.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, Alex Jones.
Very interesting. I'm just going to scroll up the list because I just want to check some. Hey, Rube. Oh yeah, okay, I'll get the thing. But the Newton ones, Reuben, when he comes back, I think he's gone for a bit of a work. I'm really curious about his comment that Newton calculated a 2060 as a serious date of some significance. How on earth could he possibly know that, and what are these calculations based on Daniel? Yeah, you know, I'd be inclined to think. So in the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilees, you've got calculation or dates are significant, and they were dealing with the calendar change, and that's why Enoch and Jubilees have been marked as apocrypha. you know, people are trying to hide that fact, but they actually deal with the Roman calendar trying to be introduced into the Old Testament. And the Book of Jubilees, well, that's about that that different way of calculating time in 49s. But that has nothing to do with reality per se. It was really a contrivance, I think. But I am really intrigued now why and how Newton actually. Lucius was an extremely common name, by the way. Oh, okay. Hey, Reuben, are you back? Yep. Sorry, guys, I'm just waiting for Reuben.
I found a video documentary on it, about 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that it there, John? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, mate. So that's on Newton, is it? And on this
Isaac
concept.
Newton, Prophecy of the Antichrist and Apocalypse.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have a look at that at some point.
And then I guess if you just put in Newton's prophecy, you'll find other, you know, websites and stuff.
Alongside my banking. Oh, shut up, Ed. Yeah. The ads, you know. I suppose I should do something about that, get rid of them. But
Does anybody know Benny 88 Man?
what's that, 80?
Benny, because I don't know, I got a message. You want to know why he wasn't invited? I don't even know who he is.
Oh, you got a message from a guy called Benny who wants to come in?
Yeah, Benny 88 Man. I don't know who he is.
Hey, yeah, well, hang on. Yeah, that's right. Reuven, very good pickup. There's a guy called Benny. He calls himself a gangster. Benny the gangster. And he's a pain in the ass. Well, he has been up till now. He reckons he's a 30-year-old that lives at home with mum and he's a gangster in Romania. But when you get him in the room, what he does is he uses the camera app and he takes pictures of you, which I find a bit of a nuisance thing. So it might be the same Benny man. You can let him in and play with him if you want.
Well, it looked, well, I don't know. I can't respond to him because it looked like it was going on to the live feed on YouTube, but the comment was deleted on YouTube. But I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it.
I wouldn't worry at all.
Yeah. See who else.
Although I suppose sometimes it's interesting. Oh, and he too. Now I didn't get this about him because I think he's playing some sort of game because I said to him, "Why don't you put your mic on, mate?" So we could talk, and he said, "I don't speak English," but he's typing bloody it seemed perfect English. So I reckon that might have been a bit of a con job. Or is that possible? That people can actually write English but not speak it? Anyone know? Reuben?
No, I don't know.
Doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah, Neff when I was in a hangout.
So, and we thought he was in the room. Do you believe Christianity was inevitably the Roman? I don't know whether that was a question that I need to answer, but Christianity is definitely, in my opinion, the Roman religion, or it is a Roman abstraction of the real Jesus religion. I've got very little doubt about that. But John, Jesus is a cool dude, so he's really talking the real stuff. So when we talk about experience, we forget about all the other stuff. he talks true to the experience. Inevitably taking over the empire's religious life. Inevitably taking over. Yeah, well, that's what happened, right? So 70 AD, they came back from the sacking of Jerusalem and smashing of the Essenes, or circa 70 AD, probably about 73. And then Nerva wrote the Synoptic Gospels. And and from that point, right, it's always been owned by the empire. And what evidence is there of that? Well, the vacation of those two papal seats was occurred in 166 and 189, and then Constantine uses it to break the stranglehold on power, I think, and it gave him a separate cause, if you like. Yeah, cool, mate.
Take care, John.
Yeah. He might be going through the troubling phase. Yeah, so, yeah, and the other interesting observation, just a small point, but if you look at Constantine the Great's name, his full name, you find that it has the Flavius signature on it. And I think also Commodus and I think Aurelius had Flavius in their name. So there's something about the Flavius branding that seems important, because they were the ones that started it. They were the ones that, you know, created Roman Christianity, in my book. Reuben, I haven't had a chance to touch not. You sure? Oh, no, if you say so, that must be true. Oh, sorry, pardon me. Asked about, pardon me, mate. Yes, that's right. But also Aurelius, that name plus Flavius, they're all in Constantine's, right? I'll check it anyway. I'll post it up in a second. Yeah, there we go. So he's really linking back to that group for some. So for some reason, this is Constantine the Great's full name, right? Valerius Aurelius Constantinus. Constantine was illegitimate, illegitimate because he was Christian, not a pagan. What do you mean, Rowan? Illegitimate of what? Illegitimate? Because he was Christian, not a pagan. I believe he was born and raised. Well, his mother allegedly was Christian, and his father had the Flavius signature in it. I believe he was born and raised Christian. He could not become. What? Because he was Christian, he couldn't become Pontifex Maximus. Oh, yeah. But that Pontifex Maximus, didn't that transfer across to the Christian tradition? The head of all Rome, yeah. So that's why we get, yeah, the Pope's signature. That's right. Yeah, yeah, not to the Emperor. To the Pope, not to the Emperor. Yeah, but no, but wasn't Constantine Pontifex Maximus during his time? Yes, yeah. But he should not have been. Yeah, okay, I accept that. I think he used the Christianity, though, as the job belonged to the Mithraists. He should not have been. The job belonged to the Myth. Well, who are the Mithraists? If that's not too difficult a question. They were the majority in Italy, not Christianity. Okay. But what are they? Do they have some sort of basis that we can track back a little earlier? Okay, all right, let's to the... Oh, shit, the Persians. Oh, dear. You see, at the moment, Reuben, I'm working on this dualist strategy that there's two empires that have been niggling at each other right through history, and it's Roman v Persian. V Persian. (200 to 400 AD), from 200. Oh dear. All right. More work to do. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. Hey. Hey, Reuben. Just as an aside, that fellow that was oh, sorry. I have to grab all this, mate, because those who are part of the Mithras, the Roman religions were all foreign: Christian, Greek, Mithras, Persian, Sol Invictus, Syrian. Even Isis was foreign, so that all Romans gave up on their original gods for these. Yeah, but isn't that what's going on with Constantine? He's actually doing a consolidation exercise, right? He's trying to rein them all into the... Yeah. I get that. That makes sense. He was trying to do a consolidation. But you still got the Jewish folk that are over in Babylon, right? What were you doing then, John? Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I mean, that's in the imagery, right? Yep, that all makes perfect sense.
Yeah, the sun thing was Egyptian thing.
Yeah. But when you go to the Christian church, they have this thing called a Eucharist, I think, and it's like a cross symbol, and in the middle of it's like a sun. You know, you look at it.
Yeah,
it's very...
Eucharist. I know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what that's actually symbolizing. So what they've done, what Constantine's done, is that he's consolidated everything. But then, Reuben, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Persians, or the Pharisees, if you like, they still held their place over in Babylon, right, up for that 1,000 years. So therefore, and therefore we have those two empires that battle it out through history.
Fine. Where is Egypt in all this?
Pardon?
Where is Egypt in all this?
Well, I think Egypt is now. Does he say it there? Yeah, the Romans controlled Egypt. Yeah, so Egypt, I think you'll find funneled into the Roman side of the paradigm. So let's call them, for simplistic purposes, the Roman Empire. So Egypt and all of its mythology sort of gets consumed up there with that consolidation that Constantine does. And then we've got over in Babylon the Persian tradition, you know, via the Pharisees, etc., and they consolidate back into there, and then they emerge from there and come up through the Balkans and up into the, or is it the Balkans, or anyway, up through that way, settle into that region between Russia and Germany. Hang on, what do we got? Egypt was too powerful. Yeah, Poland. So they're, you know, like Pharisee. Then the Romans brilliantly divided the Egyptian armies between. Brilliantly divided the Egyptian armies between Cleopatra and Ptolemy. Divide and conquer. Hey, what's that, mate?
the old buy and conquer.
Yeah.
Funny, you'll probably find the Bible characters in Egypt, anyways,
Mm.
as under different names. Just have to look in the Egyptian pharaoh names, and you'll probably find them.
Yeah. Well, see, I went to a museum here in Melbourne, Australia, and they had a 17th century, I think he was, sketch artist. I've got his images on my phone, but one of the images that struck me that he'd drawn was a pyramid. And it was associated with a guy called Cestus, I think, or something like that, Prestus. So there's definitely, by the look of it, when these Flavians are in power and early Caesar, there was this high intermingling with the Egyptians. So I'm just trying to read. Then the Romans brilliantly divided the Egyptian armies between Cleopatra and Ptolemy. Caesar fought for Cleopatra.
Well,
Right.
listen, guys, for myself, I'm gonna call it a night.
Yeah, right, mate.
Okay.
I'll just stop the broadcast, but